They kind of believe that you're owed a living as a writer, and you're not.
Is it any shock Bill Maher would say stuff like this in regards to the writers' strike? No, not in the slightest.
I feel for my writers. I love my writers. I'm one of my writers. But there's a big other side to it, and a lot of people are being hurt besides them. A lot of people who don't make as much money as them in this bipartisan world we have, where you're just in one camp or the other. There's no in between. You're either for the strike, like they're Che Guevara out there, you know, like this is Cesar Chavez lettuce picking strike, or you're with Trump. You know, like there's no different. There's only two camps, and it's much more complicated than that.
Is it, Bill? Is it?
What the producers are basically doing is they are trying to make writers like gig economy workers.
It is our feeling that they are planning on trying to shrink writers' room to the point of non-existence and turn us into freelance writers or gig writers.
David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, which is, you know, the parent company of the network I'm talking to you on right now, was paid $250 million last year, $250 million. That's about the same level as what 10,000 writers are asking him to pay all of us collectively, all right? So I would say if you're being paid $250 million, Ted Sarandos made about $50 million last year. These companies are making enormous amounts of money. Their profits are going up. It's ridiculous for them to plead poverty when the writers who are making their shows, some of them are not able to pay their rent or their mortgages.
Tens of thousands of writers and members of the Writers Guild of America have officially gone on strike.
Writer pay has fallen by 23% over the past 10 years. Even though the company profits have gone up by 50%, they're spending more money than ever on making these shows. They're making more profits from them than ever. But writers are making less money. So our proposals are to ensure that there's a writer's room on every single show, and they have refused to even discuss that proposal with us. Another sticking point is that we want to make sure that writers are paid the same in streaming as they are on television. My first show was for True TV. My second show was for Netflix. The show had the exact same format, but on Netflix, we had no minimums, we had no protections, we were paid less. The residuals are literally 1% of what they were.
And now it just isn't there for the writers.
Oh my God, I'm about to be so rich. And you got time. What?
That was Kimiko Glenn, who played Brooke Soso on Netflix's Orange is the New Black.
Ben Burgess of the Daily Beast would chide Maher. And here's what he wrote. The Hollywood studios and streaming services are obscenely profitable. Granting the writers' kooky demands, as Maher says, would cost the tiniest fraction of those profits. We're talking about the people who write every sentence spoken by every character in every movie and on every show. In the old days, if you wrote an episode of a TV show and the episode continued to make money for your bosses for years or decades in the future, you were paid residuals that reflected that. Now, Netflix, for example, doesn't even tell writers how many people are watching Netflix original shows. The estimated cost of meeting all of the writers' demands for Disney, for example, would be a bit less than 1% of their annual revenue of $82.7 billion. For Netflix, it would be a little over 0.2% of their annual revenue of $31.6 billion. For the real giants like Apple and Amazon, it doesn't even rise to the level of a rounding error. I think what we have seen, which is representative of modern day society, is those who are at the tippy top, the 1%, who continue to squeeze, no matter the industry, no matter the workforce, squeezing those who are simply doing all the hard work, all of the labor, and saying, do it for less. Now, if there's one thing that I have seen through so many troubles to give me a slight bit of optimism, because we always say we're incredibly divided, labor is actually, and unions, the intersection, is something that I do feel proud of. Because what we are seeing with the writer's strike, the actor's strike, there is a huge disparity between those that are first or second year writers and some of the highest grossing actors of all time banding together. We have seen this with the Amazon movement and Chris Smalls. We are seeing this with Starbucks workers, Trader Joe's workers unionizing, and also seeing the tactics of those companies that benefit from paying these people horribly low wages. And this is an outlier, not an outlier, this is a theme rather, is the Bill Mahers who are well off. The studio executives who are well off. Continually not getting it over and over and over again. And that's okay. That is okay. The most important thing, sticking together. So I reiterate, troubling times, terrible times, food insecurity, housing insecurity, wealth inequality. This is an example of we can come together. We can create community, and we can have positive change for ourselves and those who come after.